It's become one of the darkest realities for some migrants seeking the American dream, family separation. While the policy of separating families no longer exists, the practice continues under the watch of the Biden administration. In tonight's Prime Focus, we bring you the exclusive story of one family who was not only separated, but then bussed across the country, eventually reunited after multiple days apart. Here's ABC's Erielle Reshef.
Ambar stands at LAX airport, anxiously awaiting the arrival of her husband, John.
TSA regulations require that baggage.
Nos cortaron las bandas y a él se lo llevan. No me dieron explicación. Yo pregunté que para dónde lo llevaba. Ellos la única respuesta que me dieron que aquí eran las leyes. Mi sueño era pasar los 3. Entonces sí tenía como ese miedo. Pero le pedía mucho a Dios para que hubiera una manera de que hubiera un milagro.
Weeks of anguish and anticipation turn to relief.
Sorry.
Ambar and John were finally able to reunite after being separated for 17 days by Customs and Border Patrol at the Texas border with Mexico. The couple making the treacherous journey from Colombia with their 10-year-old daughter, Aranza. Like many, they left everything behind in their home countries, fleeing what they tell us were unsafe conditions, all for a better future for their little girl.
What was it like to be with your 10-year-old daughter on such a strenuous journey?
Traumático. La verdad fue una decisión riesgosa, sabíamos, y aparte que tenemos alguien que hay que cuidar, que es la niña. Entonces, pues con mi familia no tuvimos otra opción.
When you saw the border and you knew that you had gotten to the United States, what was your first feeling?
Ya el sueño era menos lejos, ya no estaba tan lejos porque ya estábamos ahí, estábamos pisando ya el suelo americano.
Upon arrival, Customs and Border Patrol initially classified Ambar, John, and Aranza as a family unit.
Nosotros le dijimos que teníamos una carta de concubinato de Colombia legal. Nos entregaron unas bandas y nos separaron del grupo con el que veníamos. En ese momento nadie nos dio explicación. Lo único que me preguntaron que si todo lo que estaba en la bolsa que siempre nos entregan para las pertenencias, si todo era de él. Si todo era de él y me insistían que si no había nada de mí. Y yo dije, no, es todo de él. En ese momento nos cortaron las bandas y a él se lo llevan.
So they didn't believe that your documentation about your marriage was valid. And what was your feeling at that moment?
Para mí fue terrible verlas partir porque fue yo el que me alejaron. Yo no quería irme y nada, lloré como nunca.
John was taken to a detention center. Ambar left alone with her daughter and no money. She wondered what she would do until someone at the shelter in McAllen offered her and Aranza seats on a bus carrying 41 other migrants. It was headed straight to Los Angeles, and left with no other option, she got on.
Customs and Border Protection has continued to separate families where they question the validity of a relationship, or, they send adult males to detention centers in the United States.
Reports of Customs and Border Patrol separating families at the border date back to 2017 under the Trump administration as part of a policy of splitting up children from their parent or guardian at the border. And while the Biden administration did away with that mandated separation, Cargioli says for some families like John and Ambar's who arrive in Texas, it's still happening. A DHS spokesperson tells ABC News this report is troubling. We can both enforce our laws and treat human beings with dignity. Unlawful border crossings have gone down since our border enforcement plan went into effect. Managing our border in a safe and humane way works best when we all work together to respect the dignity of every human being and keep our communities safe.
What were you telling your daughter during those hours on the bus?
Pues me tocó decirle como en varias ocasiones que durmiera porque primero tenía hambre y segundo estaba mareada, ¿verdad? Y tenía ganas de ir al baño. Y en esas 3 ocasiones, como tú le explicas a un niño, no puedes. Lo único que le decía que durmiera, que tuviéramos paciencia, porque yo no podía dormir porque tenía que estar pendiente de ella.
What did you know about the United States? What did your parents tell you about coming to the United States?
Ahí había, ¿cómo es que se llama?
Un parque.
Un parque, ¿cómo es que se llama?
Disney World.
Disney World? You told her about Disney World. It's a very important piece of American culture.
Unbeknownst to Ambar, the long bus ride to L.A. was part of a policy instated by Texas Governor Greg Abbott just over a year ago. His state transporting more than 30,000 migrants so far from Texas to Democrat-led cities across the country.
Yo la verdad pues no sabía nada de eso. Lo único que fue que yo donde llegué pues me ofrecieron un bus gratuito.
According to CBP, 92,454 encounters between migrants and Border Patrol agents happened in July alone at the Texas-Mexico border. Governor Abbott claims these actions provide needed relief to overwhelmed border communities. But his policies have faced sharp scrutiny from humanitarian organizations and advocates like Cargioli.
Governor Abbott's policy is causing real harm to real individuals.
While Democrat-run cities welcomed migrants at first, receiving them from those Texas buses and trying to provide resources, they too are now feeling the strain of the influx. The mayors of New York City, Denver, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles are all calling on the Biden administration to grant critical federal assistance.
I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City.
We're calling on the Biden administration to provide funding and logistical support we need.
We've had more buses show up in the last 15 weeks than all of last year combined.
Governor Abbott has clearly instated policies, but there are states and cities that have been more friendly to migrants that are sounding the alarm, saying they simply don't have the capacity to take any more, New York being one of them. How concerning is that for someone like you?
It is not true that New York City does not have the capacity to assist more asylum seekers. It's a matter of working with the community and community members and organizations that are able to assist. It's a matter of expanding federal policies that will help better assimilate asylum seekers in need into our communities, cities, and states.
Last month, the White House granted $77 million in congressional funding for communities receiving migrants, but some say money alone won't mitigate the crisis. Making matters more complicated for families like Ambar and John, who are seeking asylum, the Biden administration has imposed new asylum restrictions on some who cross into the U.S. from the Mexico border. A similar policy was struck down during the Trump years.
Why do you think there's still an asylum ban?
The asylum ban is an unfortunate measure that the Biden administration implemented, we believe, because of, continuing to have to respond to the xenophobic rhetoric that we're seeing by many politicians in the United States.
But this is a Democratic administration that has put an asylum ban in place.
The Biden administration has not opened the border as we've known it prior to the Trump administration. They've continued to use restrictive measures.
Clinging to her faith, Ambar was finally able to contact her husband through a nonprofit organization after 8 long days without any communication. John was finally released from Port Isabel Detention Center in Texas and flown by an immigrant advocacy group to reunite with his family. They are now living in New York, taking on their next chapter, hoping to be granted the chance to stay and build a life here in the U.S.
Este país nos dé la oportunidad de demostrar que merecemos estar acá. Venimos aquí a trabajar, a cumplir con todo lo que sea necesario para poder permanecer acá el tiempo que Dios lo permite.
And as for Aranza, she's already aspiring to do great things.
What do you dream about?
Ser abogada.
Ah, you want to be a lawyer?
Porque ayudas a las personas.
Quite an admirable dream. Our thanks to Erielle for bringing us that.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.